Welcome back to the TRBusiness Adapt and Survive Skype video interview series produced by TRBusiness. The interview series is designed to provide intelligence, insight, and crucially, some optimism during what is an incredibly difficult time globally for businesses, including in travel retail. Joining me today is Lisa Bauer. She's the President and CEO of Starboard Cruise Services, here to provide a cruise perspective. We're delighted to have Lisa today. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you, Luke, for inviting me.
Firstly, Lisa, how are you and the team at Starboard faring? It's a very difficult time at the moment, and I guess how are you trying to protect the business during this uncertainty?
Well, first and foremost, I would say the safety and well-being of our teams have been our priority. And we started this journey all the way back in January in Shanghai when the pandemic actually broke out in Asia. So our teams in Shanghai they worked from home literally from January up until March, and they're starting to come back. Our office in Genoa and our office here in Miami, we started to work from home in mid-March, and our distribution center just has a small skeleton crew for some of the limited movement that's still going on. And of course, you can imagine we've had a major focus on our shipboard teams globally all over the world, and really worked very hard to get them home, which has been a challenge with ports closed and airports and things like that. But the cruise lines have just been absolutely incredible partners and really treating our crew as part of the team. And so where they've done dedicated charters, or they've had to do different kinds of transportation, or even in fact sailing the ships back to the Philippines, or back to some of the countries where there's a lot of the crew, we really benefited from that. So again, really trying to take care of our crew. The other thing I would say is we've really spent the time really as a leadership team, a lot of Zooms meetings, as you can imagine. We've had a daily touch base with my leadership team, which I'm very blessed to have an incredible senior leadership team. And our focus has really been on understanding what's changing on a daily basis with the cruise lines and what their plans are to restart. And then also just how do we do a good job communicating with our teams, both at sea and on land. And so we've set up a COVID-19 website that really has everything from cruise line updates to frequently asked questions, information on employee assistance programs, and really just trying to do a good job communicating. And in addition, we set up something on the website that's called the Silver Lining, where we're trying to find really those things that are of hope and that are of interest, and really uplifting content to really share some of the positive stories that are coming out of what we're dealing with.
It's fantastic that you're taking very early steps to put in place things that I'm sure will be greatly received by employees, but also all of Starboard's customers. Lisa, Starboard's obviously known for its high volume of luxury boutiques on board across a number of different vessels and a number of different routes. How quite do you manage that level of inventory at this time? Have shop sales all but dried up?
Yeah, so Luke, you're absolutely right. The complexity of a global organization with the assets out on the ships, and I can just tell you effectively we are shut down. Unlike a traditional retailer, when the shops can open, you can go downstairs with your key and open up. We really are working closely with the cruise lines. And at this point in time, all of our ships, we're not selling, none of the shops are open, but we do have limited staff on board that we have really there for asset protection. And we're really spending the time really examining our inventory and thinking about what our restart plans look like and what we're going to need. But it very much is a complex operation.
Okay, yeah. Lisa, obviously you touched on it there, the cruise lines aren't sailing, cruise travelers across the world, many of which are in enforced quarantine, ships aren't able to dock. We've seen in the US, they've extended the no sail order. How big a challenge is it not only to restore trust, I guess, in cruise travel when those sailings recommence, but critically also encouraging people to spend once they get on board?
So I can share a little bit from my perspective. I've been in the cruise industry a very long time, and it's such a resilient industry. You know, I think back what we went through with 9/11, and then with SARS, the economic crisis, Zika. You know, it was a very difficult time, each and every one of those. And what I think is different now is price was such a motivator back then to get people to sail. We used to say fear has a price, and it was $199. And I believe that this situation is fundamentally different because it's so much more about safety. And the research that I've seen has been very much about people want to take vacations, but they want to know that it's safe. They want to know that either the World Health Organization or the CDC or the government have said, you know, cruising is safe. And they also want to understand what different procedures the cruise lines are taking to ensure the safety of all those on board. And I can just tell you that, you know, I also had part of my career for 5 years, I ran operations, and safety has always been the number one priority of the cruise lines. And this is no different. So I'm very confident that the cruise industry will rebound. It's going to look different. The other thing that I would really say is in terms of the customer, and to answer your question about their willingness to spend, I do believe that at least for the next 12 to 18 months, the customers that are going to come back first are going to be those folks that have already cruised and have already understood what an incredible vacation cruising is. And again, based on the research that we're seeing, the population that we're considering cruise has definitely shrunk by about 30%. And we believe that the first folks that will be coming back will be the cruise loyalists. So, and the good news is from a retail standpoint, we have experience with the experienced cruisers. So that gives us some room for optimism as well.
That's good to hear. And obviously from a retail standpoint, Starboard is fortunate enough to be in a position where it has the backing of LVMH. Just tell us a little bit, Lisa, about what support you're receiving from LVMH at this time, financial or otherwise.
Everybody at Starboard and Onboard Media feel so incredibly fortunate to be part of the LVMH Moet Hennessy group, and really the global resources that brings, certainly financial, but over and above that, the access that we have to brands that others might not have, the access to talent. You know, a number of the folks we've hired have been on LVMH Mobility and have great experience from the group. Also global insights. You know, I just got done reading a complete update on the restart of Asia that Andrew Wu, the president of LVMH in Asia, did, that really helps us get better prepared here and really learn from what's already happened from the restart there. And the two other really big pieces that have been just incredible for me as a relatively new CEO to the group, it's not even a year, is, you know, the access to the leadership in Paris, the access to our leadership in New York. A lot of there's task force that we can participate on about, you know, what will it look like when we go back to work, and what are the best practices, and, you know, what should the office environment look like. So we're not out on our own trying to figure that out. We're part of a big global group that, you know, really has the interests of the employees as number one. And so we're really taking advantage of that on those task force on the best practices. So again, just feel so incredibly fortunate to be part of such a great group.
I know it's difficult to talk about new business or even any sort of future business at the moment, but Lisa, what are you trying to do at the moment to, I guess, maintain your existing contracts? I know that Starboard retained a lot of its Royal Caribbean concessions last year, for instance. Just talk us through a little bit how you're trying to, maintain that existing capacity and existing collateral that you have.
So sure. So a couple things that I would share with you about our cruise partners, many of whom have been long-standing Starboard customers. And one of the actions that we took right before everything had happened with COVID-19 is we did a major reorganization within Starboard, and we created account teams that were organized around each of our cruise line partners. So whether it was Royal Caribbean or a Dream or a Crystal or a Silversea or a Celebrity or a Carnival, Norwegian, each of those teams would have its own dedicated account team with its own general manager, its own merchant, marketing, visual, operations. And we did that to really have that deep, deep understanding of what each cruise line brand stood for. What were their customers looking for? What was their global deployment looking like? And so that account team was really just maniacally focused on each cruise line. And that really is in line with the strategy we took, which was really around core. And that's very much about core is customer centricity, operational excellence, reinventing retail where everyone makes a difference. And so we've been spending this time while we've been on Zoom and working from home, really on our restart plans and how do each of the cruise line plans look very different and what those cruise lines are trying to achieve. So really, I feel like this customer centricity is so incredibly important. And we're spending that time thinking about how we really can truly reinvent the retail experience.
And just to pick up on an earlier point you mentioned, Lisa, you say there about reinventing the retail experience. You do believe that more established cruisers will be first to market, if you will, when the cruise lines start, and that will, we hope, be followed by new to market cruisers. I guess looking more sort of medium to long term, do you think that this whole scenario will change the way that people view cruising and retailing? I mean, we're talking about a new world order now when it comes to retail. Quite how does that apply to cruise? Because it is a unique environment.
Yeah, I do believe it's going to be fundamentally different, whether in the near to medium term. So some of the things that I would share, again, based on research and, just having been in the industry for so long, we know that at least 50% of the people that are sailing are celebrating something, a birthstone, a birthday, a milestone, an anniversary. I don't see that changing. And I believe that there's going to be pent up demand for that. But what I do believe will change is the way we may have done things like our marketplace, where we have a big sale where groups come and gather at one time. I do believe there'll be a bigger emphasis on digital and personalized shopping. I also believe there's an opportunity here because I don't believe that the cruises will be full right away, or at least in the near term. And I see that as an opportunity. And the reason I say that is because there'll be staterooms that'll be available for us to put different pop-up or white space experiences on and test things. And let's see what resonates with this new, consumer that's on the other side of what we've all come through. And so that gives me optimism in the sense that it's not back to business as usual. And I don't want it to be back to business as usual. We want to find out what are those things that we can really innovate and we can test. And not everything that we test will work, but I believe in partnering with the cruise lines, it's going to give us more of an opportunity than we've ever had to try different things around what do customers want to commemorate a destination. What are the stories and, artisanal brands and things like that. I do believe that there's going to be an even bigger emphasis on sustainability in products and, health and wellness. So we are very closely watching what's happening with different trends. And we're using this time so that when we are part of the restart, that we don't start with a walk or a jog or a run, but that we're ready to go and, go with those things that we know are tried and true that are really important to customers, but use it as a time for discovery as well and testing.
As you mentioned, Lisa, obviously it's an uncertain landscape at the moment with regards to retail. I think things will change in some form. I want to take this opportunity to ask you about the competition. Now, obviously, we've seen the emergence of Heinemann, Dufry, Effie Jewelry in the past 18 months, a couple of years now, who've been snapping up contracts. I just want to get your view on how you see those competitors in relation to what Starboard's doing, and crucially, how do you feel the landscape is going to accommodate what is becoming an increasingly saturated market, given what's going on now and how the future could look?
Yeah, so from my perspective, we have such a healthy respect for our competitors. And again, in the cruise industry, I think everyone does a really nice job. My sense from Starboard's perspective is that because we were not organized around our cruise line partners, we weren't really showing up the way that I believe that we are now and moving forward. And so, it's a growing industry. It will grow again. And there's new builds coming, and there's a lot of competition. But to me, I'm excited about it because I do believe that there is opportunity, especially with the deep expertise in cruise. When I think about some of our competitors, and again, with a huge healthy respect, that are really into airports, the airport experience is so materially different than a cruise experience. You've got 10 minutes at an airport and you with people for 7 days on a cruise. And so to me, tapping into, when I think about my leadership team and the incredible depth of both retail and cruise experience that we have, I think that that's a real differentiator in the cruise industry. And that's really what we're very focused on.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear your thoughts. And, thank you for speaking to us, Lisa. Really, really appreciate it. And some real wisdom there, and some real good clues as to what cruise retail, I'm sure, can expect moving forward. But thank you very much, Lisa, for your time.
Thank you so much, Luke. Great questions, and appreciate you speaking with Starboard, and stay safe.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.